Hello, I'm Ryan, and I hereby declare a national period of mourning for Alexander from the Traitors.
My name's Will.
And I'm Ivan.
And tonight we give our final thoughts on Series 3 of the Traitors UK.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is a funeral, Ivan. Gotta be quaint.
This is sad, this one. Okay, sorry.
I might just put on in the background the music that I keep for when the Queen dies.
Can I sing the song that we sing when one of our greatest friends and allies has died?
May he rest in peace. Welcome to episode 41 of It's Just a Game. A 1, 2, and a 1, 2, 3, 4.
You did it so quick, Ryan. Don't you know how to count in music?
That was Ivan. I know how to count.
I sing an upbeat version.
Oh, okay.
It's a sad version. Alexander's gone. Right, anyway, let's get back to the upbeats then. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Every episode, we go over the crazy strategies, the maddest moves, and the hottest stakes on your favorite reality TV shows. This week, we mourn the end of the Traitors UK's third series, Gone But Never Forgotten. This is going to be a bit of a special episode. Okay, we're going to go over our takes on the last few episodes 10, 11, and 12, and we'll take a moment as well to go over the biggest moments and our views on the series overall. But for now, let's start with some introductions. My name is Ryan, and I'm here to chat shit, get banged.
I'm all out of shit.
If you don't know what this is about, I don't even know how you could Google that, but hey.
One single night on the internet that changed everything.
Well, joining me is the man who, according to the internet, works on a lovely podcast called It's Only a Game. And I'm pleased you took some time out of that to join us on here. It's Just a Game instead today. Hello, Ivan.
Hello, yeah, thanks for that, The Sun. You really got me, with your inaccurate statements about my life. Hello.
The sun is so bad.
The sun is bad. It gives you sunburn, and we need to be protected from the sun at all costs with thick liquids and earmuffs because, my God. Anyway, right. Hello, boys. This was good, wasn't it?
Hello. Yes, this was very good. Yep. And the man who I realise as I'm talking now, I forgot to write an intro for, Wilf. Hello, Wilf.
Hello.
No, you say the man who needs no further introduction.
Oh, you're good. You should be a diplomat or something.
He's good. The Sun also said after the show, Will went back to his regular job in quotation marks. What does that even mean? Which isn't even true. It's not even true. And what is a regular job in quote marks? Like I'm like a cam girl or something.
I don't know. I mean, the Sun also said that according to my castmates, I stay away from social media. And anyone who's on my Twitter knows that I am on social media too much.
Ryan hasn't slept since the end of season 1. He just refreshes his Twitter feed every single 13 seconds.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. Right, let's get into it then. We are entering a spoiler zone. You know the drill. If you have seen the entirety of the Traitors UK, you can stay right there. If you have not, there will be spoilers ahead. And if you don't care about that, because this is the podcast where we watch reality TV, so you don't have to, Ivan is here to summarize everything you've missed since the last episode of the podcast. Ivan, you're good to go.
Okay, all right. Episode 10. Joe, remember him, is murdered. Everyone's upset. He was so liked. At breakfast, Freddy leads the charge on Mina, but everyone suspects her. Mina tries to start some move on Freddy, but will she rustle up 4 votes? If Leanne, Jake, and Charlotte go with her, that's enough. The mission is a Mr. and Mrs. quiz on a chessboard. Leanne is two-faced and Frankie's irrelevant. They said that, not me. At the round table, Jake and Leanne consider Freddy, but Freddy, Alexander, and Frankie all take shots at Mina. Charlotte turns on Mina too, and Mina is banished. We've lost our witches 3. Jake is shocked. Leanne tells Frankie, Jake, and Charlotte that she has the shield. So Charlotte recruits Freddy by ultimatum, doesn't tell him about the shield, and kills Leanne to lean into the murder. Episode 11. Leanne receives her murder letter, but has a shield. When everyone turns up at breakfast, Freddy is visibly shocked. Leanne reveals the shield, and in what I am dubbing the Fred breakfast, Freddy claims Mina told him about the shield. It's a blatant lie, but somehow Leanne comes out suspecting Alexander. Alexander thinks Leanne's a traitor covering a murder. Why does nobody think it's Freddy? The mission is a revisit of a few missions, but with new push your luck mechanics. Alexander helps Frankie with her coins so she can win the seer role and picks him. The round table is, quite frankly, a mess. Freddy accuses Charlotte out of nowhere. Leanne and Charlotte push on Freddy, worming Freddy on his Mina lie until he says Mina told him after the round table where she got banished that Leanne has a shield. He is unanimously, but even he votes for himself. No, he votes for Charlotte. With Alexander's help, Francesca wins the seer role. She picks someone she trusts to be faithful to meet and learn her role. And of course, she picks Charlotte. Episode 12, Frankie learns over a romantic date that Charlotte is a traitor. Charlotte smiles. The battle lines are drawn. At breakfast, the two new rivals arrive together and both claim the other's a traitor. Frankie gets the initial support, but Charlotte's emotions are compelling. With the players considering the possibility of a second traitor, the players all scrabble to make final alliances. It's fabulous TV! The mission is a heli hang! They win money. At the round table, Frankie and Charlotte go at it. Not that way, but the truth is just too compelling, and all three neutral faithfuls vote to banish Charlotte. Only faithfuls remain, but the gang tear each other apart to guarantee a win at the fire pit, banishing both Alexander and Frankie to cut out any potential rot. The two remaining players, Leanne and Jake, reveal their innocence and win the money, but at what cost? And that is where we are now.
Jesus, what an ending. Let's get right into it. Let's talk betrayal. There were two very big betrayals coming from Charlotte at the beginning of this week, and we need to talk about them. The first one, Mina gets thrown under the bus. Now, I've got to say, I'm sad because I love Mina, and, I think she was a good traitor. Equally, I can't blame Charlotte for that. For starters, she had to vote for Mina. I mean, everyone else, all the other faithfuls were starting to put their name out there. It would have been more suspicious if she didn't follow that. Great traitor, but I think this was inevitable. Wilf.
I think when you're a traitor, I think it's really important to come under suspicion quite early on.
Yeah.
And she didn't, which was ultimately a downfall because she didn't really know how to defend herself too much. She did quite well, but there was too many people against her at that point, and it's better to go through that probably episode 4 or 5 and then get all the suspicions back off you, prove you're a faithful, and then people sort of leave you alone. And that's happened several times in previous series. Mm-hmm. That was one thing. The second thing was she started planting seeds way too late. Like, the whole beginning of it, there's a lot of people there, just go with it and go with what they say, water the seeds. But then when it gets smaller, the circle gets smaller, it's important to actually start having a say and saying things. And that was ultimately what got her banished. I think people realize she's not actually bringing anything to the table. And I always say this, even if they didn't think she was a traitor, they would probably get rid of her because they see her as a weak faithful because she's not actually putting names down and throwing names out there and suggesting who could be the traitor. But that's why I think was the main reason. What about you, Ivan?
I think you don't even have to necessarily be the first person to mention the suspicion over somebody, but if you're maybe even just the first person to name them at a round table, that may be taken by the group as being planting the seeds. And Mina didn't do that either. She was quite strong against Dan in that episode where he was eliminated, but then there was a lot more to that, and people could see there was kind of an emotional element with the marking with the tar and everything. So I think it was inevitable, unfortunately. I mean, it happened as soon as she recruited Charlotte, and we saw the Mivs there where Charlotte said she's got to go, and Mina said we're going to the end together. We knew this was inevitable. It had to happen, and I think it probably was either going to happen here at episode 11. And we can all probably agree it would have been better if it had happened for Charlotte at episode 11. Despite how good the Freddy recruitment and everything was, it kind of did lead to her downfall maybe. So I think ideally she'd get rid of her at episode 11. But it had to happen. It was the right move from Charlotte. It was unfortunately just a bit too late for Mina, who tried her best but really could not fight against that wave of pretty much everyone thinking it was her.
This would have happened either way, even without the Hood Charlotte situation. Yeah. I think the faithful are just going to vote her out anyway, and that's just unfortunate luck of the draw. But still a great traitor. Thoroughly enjoyed Mina. The other big betrayal we need to talk about is about Freddy. I mean, that shield play, really interesting stuff. And I've got a few points I want to discuss here. The first one is, what was Freddy doing? He seemed to assume that Charlotte had good intention, especially when you get recruited by ultimatum. You're not given a choice. At that point in the game, Freddy must surely realize that this is for one purpose only, and that's to throw him under the bus. She's not trying to become friends. She's not trying to go with another traitors to the final. She's trying to throw him under the bus.
I think he knew he'd get thrown under the bus. We may not have seen him say that, but I'm sure he assumed it. The fact is he didn't know how he was going to get thrown under the bus, and that was the shock for him. He didn't anticipate this shield argument, and if he had done, more power to him. if he must have just thought, do you know what? Once it gets to the round table, that's when Charlotte's going to have a go. And I think that's what took him off his balance.
My problem with that is that if he knows that she's taking him to throw him under the bus, you don't know how it's going to happen, but the bit of power you have is you don't follow her at that murder. She's insisting that Leanne's going to get murdered. You've got to think, I'm sorry, something's off here. This person just recruited me to throw me under the bus. Why would I trust her? Why would I follow through with what she's suggesting in that turret?
I think it might have been to do with naivety and hope. I think when he was recruited, you see it in his MIV saying about going to the final, I think he said together.
Yeah.
But you know that's going to happen, but you hope it's not. And yeah, when he came into breakfast, for me was, I thought it was really funny. I felt sorry for him, but it was hilarious at the same time. And, you know, when you go into the breakfast, a first time as a traitor, it's quite difficult, especially when you've been recruited. But on top of that, that layer of lies that Charlotte created, Charlotte's little web, Charlotte's web, just literally caught him off guard completely, and he crumbled. And to be fair, a lot of people might have crumbled in that situation, because you're like, who would have told me? Who would have told me?
We all know that feeling as well, when you've told a lie and you've been called out on it and the bottom of your stomach just hits out and you're like, oh no. And he tried so hard. And like, even the mad thing was, the obvious thing to say in that situation, which of course Freddy didn't think of at the time, is the same could be said for those who did know you had a shield. That would make you the perfect person to kill, to make it look like it was me or Alexander. It's not a hard argument, but in the heat of the moment, when all your adrenaline is just coursing through your body, you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears. I understand why he didn't say that.
I remember getting arrested when I was young, right?
Oh, don't brag.
Yeah, no, my dad saying to me, the least you say is better, right? That's what he said to me when I got arrested. I was about 13. He said, the least you say is better. And I think Alexander is a perfect example of not a criminal, but someone who just says less, but it means more. Like sometimes somebody will ask him something and he'll go, no.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I mean,
you're like, okay, fair enough.
I would say this argument works if you've just been arrested, because it is for the police to prove you committed a crime. In this castle, you actually need to be making an active argument that you're not a traitor. Otherwise, it's just going to vote for you in doubt. So,
what would you have done then, Ryan?
Okay, two approaches. The first one is, I mean, generally, if you get caught in a lie, the way you get out of it is you lie even harder. You just go deeper in the lie. There must have been a way, like, just pretend, oh yeah, Charlotte told me. What's she going to do? Deny it? She's a traitor.
Just go, actually, do you know what? I'm Welsh.
Charlotte told me is the best lie, but the best lie is the truth. No, I didn't know you had the shield. Why are you looking at me? Anyone could have picked you last night, even those who knew you had the shield. That's the best lie. Just tell the truth.
That is the best defense.
I absolutely get that if you say, I did know the shield, and they say, who told you? Charlotte's the best answer. But once again, we can't blame him for this. Come on. Can we just talk about the fact that Leanne received a letter saying you've been murdered and had to go, no, I'm not, I've got a shield? Because that changes everything.
Yeah.
Because no longer, now we know that people get a letter when they're murdered, because apparently it's never happened before in our UK series, right? If that is the case, then no one can ever bluff being targeted by the shield again. What Harry did in season 2, he can't do. No one can ever do it again, because the person who was targeted goes, no, you weren't.
Yeah.
And then you're just fully having to nope someone else. So like, I hope this never happens again.
Well, I think it's becoming really hard to metagame, because you'll think about previous series, what happened here, but then they're taking away these little elements that where the gameplay worked. So it's getting harder to sort of go, okay, last season, like Harry did the shield play. Like now you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. And you try it and it fails because it just doesn't happen anymore. Does that make sense? So it's like they're taking away certain elements that previous seasons have had.
It does make sense. And the other thing that's been taken away is the space for sort of play. So obviously we're going to definitely get on to the seer ability later, right?
Yeah.
But in both, actually somebody really receiving a letter and then the seer ability, what we have both times is confirmation, right? We have actual data. We have a proper pack of biscuits, right? None of these are invisible. These are visible, tangible paper biscuits. And that's really exciting. But what it means is there's less space to play. And this is why we can't have confirmation roles in this show, or at least ones that don't 100% confirm something, because you don't get the same space to make up a lie. Because it's like, well, But that's just not true because I have this data. So I know we've all advocated for like information roles, and I still think they're possible, but there needs to be reasonable doubt in everything. Yep. You need to seed the doubt. Like, oh, I'll give you 2 people and one of them's a traitor. Even that in some way gives doubt, and that means there's space to play.
That was one of my questions going into tonight then, tactically, because to me, and I think it really shows itself in this episode, the seer is actually a big poison chalice.
Oh yeah.
So the question is, how do you play the seer to your best advantage? We'll talk about how we could do the seer differently in a minute, but assuming the seer happened, as it happened here, end of episode 11, somebody gets to play the seer. How do you play to your advantage? You go for faithful because, then it's less a risk. What do you do, Ivan?
Crazily, I think Frankie did the right thing. I think you pick a faithful. Here's what I think. The team who picks if presented exactly it is, final 5 confirmed role and public everything else, the team who gets the coin in episode 11 always wins the series. Whether you win the series, your team wins it. This is what happened with Frankie. I think 85 to 90% of the time, the team who gets the coin wins the series. The only way that you can also be on the winning team at the time when the season ends is to pick a faithful, because I think that, especially as a faithful, you want to make sure that you are trusted and there's a pair. And of course, with 5, 2 is almost a majority. If you come in grinning and holding hands in the breakfast at episode 12, people are going to be like, oh, well, can't really vote that out because there's always going to be a block. That's what I got to say.
I was really worried about Charlotte being able to be at the breakfast first.
Yeah,
but I really appreciated that they brought them both in at the end together. I think that was the fairest possibility. I can't give you a play that I'd play. If I was the seer now at that point in the game, I just wouldn't want to be the seer at that point ever.
But I'm not sure that actually makes that much of a difference, because if you're Charlotte and you get into breakfast first, you can't start the offensive anyway, because you're going to have to pretend, oh, this was a really nice dinner. She found out I was a faithful and it was great. So you can actually really only start your attack once you're actually accused of being a traitor. So I'm not sure the order of entry makes that much of a difference, as long as it's not Francesca coming in first.
But at least she gets to set the narrative, right? So she sets in everyone's mind a slightly plastic version of what happened, and it's Francesca who has to break that narrative. And there's a chance that by the time Francesca comes in, they've all decided, okay, cool, I believe this narrative. And then Francesca comes in, they go, what? And they may suspect her. I don't know. I'm really glad they came in at the same time, Wolf. I agree with you. I think that was the perfect way to do it, and it was fair.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say about this is that, yes, it's a poison chalice. You receive this information, and you just become a target in almost every single save, apart from if a faithful picks a faithful. And so it actually becomes a disadvantage again.
Yeah.
And I think the seer is that now. If they ever use the seer again, it's going to be like, I don't want it. Like someone else, I'm going to lose this task just so I don't get the power.
Wouldn't it be interesting, though, if they did the seer role in the traditional sense of nobody knows who the seer is?
Yeah.
So the seer wins the ability and nobody else knows who the seer is, and the seer can decide what they do with that information?
Yeah, so I think you have to add ambiguity in one of many different ways. So 1 is that no one knows who the seer is. 2 is that the seer doesn't learn complete information, so they learn 1 of 2 players, 1 of 3 players, or something else like that, or you have the same but earlier, and therefore it's still a poison chalice. Everyone involved in the seer thing is going to get sent home, but if it happens in episode 5, it's maybe more compelling. 3 people at breakfast were like, no, I'm the seer and I saw Will. No, I'm the seer and I saw Ryan. Like, that's
so funny.
That's what you want. That's the point of hidden role games. Yep. And actually, this is a hidden role game. We've got faithful or traitor. The seer should be a hidden faithful role, obviously.
I guess the rule is interesting, and I think some people have come really strong on the internet being like, oh, this needs to go out, this was overpowered. No, I think the rule needs to come back, perhaps just at a slightly different time, or with some more caveats that add, pressure on the seer, that don't just make it like, congratulations, you just got a traitor.
Yeah.
And, luck has it. Speaking about how the seer happened, though, we know it's a poison chalice for Francesca. I'm just trying to think, would Charlotte have had any way out of that? Beyond arguing your case, I'm not sure there's any, appealing to emotion, which is what she tries to do. I'm not sure there's anything else you could have done to save yourself. She
did a really, really good job.
Yeah.
As did Frankie. Yeah. They both just, as I say, they both just kind of stopped playing, and they were like, well, I've got truth. And the other one was like, well, she's got truth. And in the end, at that point, it just becomes like, fight for your life. Let's be honest. The risks are too high. At that point, you're thinking, if I do this and embarrass myself on national TV just for the sake of trying to worm out of something, I'm going to look even stupider than I do now. So, I don't know. Will, do you think it's possible?
I don't think it's possible, but what I do think is possible, I think that Jake and Leanne had a conversation in the castle saying we need to get rid of both of them at some point. I think that conversation must have happened. I think personally, and they just didn't show it because naturally that was the first thing we spoke about. We spoke on the phone straight after.
Yeah.
And we all was just like, well,
They're gone.
we just banish both of them. So that's the first thing that 3 people thought. Like, I'm sure a lot more people would have thought that too.
And that's what I would like to tell everyone from next week. I will be available for psychic consultations. On Thursday night, I tweeted exactly how the final will go down. That is precisely what happened. I would like to give myself a singular clap. I'm a fucking genius. Ed Gamble, you've got my number. See you next year. Uncloaked. Call me daddy.
All true, except that about 1,000 other people. I mean, I said that Alexander was going to win too, which I regret. I knew he wouldn't, but that's fine. But like a lot of, you know what? You can have the Mystic Meg from season 2 award, but I think in the long run, I think it was inevitable.
I personally, Anna, this is controversial. I actually think episode 11 is a great time to have it because it infused so much tension in that final.
Yeah,
Loved it.
I want to give a single clap to Studio Lambert because I see what you did. You know that the British public needs to see a different endgame every season. You know that. And that's why you put it where you put it, because it made for a unique end of the season and we all will remember how it went. Yes, we don't approve of how the game went because it wasn't fair. But no, it did not ruin the game because the show ended in a stellar fashion.
And that's exactly what I was about to say, is with what you said. I think as a game player, I think if for me, the game just wasn't great for me in that aspect. But TV wise, I was like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? It keeps you engaged. It was I really enjoyed it.
I'm here for it. Let's give a singular clap then to the people who came up with this twisted little twist. I loved it. I will not agree with any of the haters. Singular clap.
3, 2, 1.
Thank you. Actually, the other twist, which I think was interesting in the final, which we might need to discuss here, is the fact that people do not reveal their role when they leave in the final.
Yeah.
I think this actually really has an impact on how the final went, because had Charlotte come out and said, I was a traitor, I think it would be much more likely that they would not have kept voting. This twist, I think, sort of incentivizes people to keep voting until there's only 2 people left. And that's the one problem I have with it. I thought it was great for TV, but for the gameplay, it might need to be balanced out with something. What I was thinking, maybe have some incentive for the faithfuls to not vote out other faithfuls, take some money away, something like that. But it needs to be balanced. The idea is good, but it needs a bit more balance.
Yeah, I've seen a few different people saying a few different things, which is like freeze the individual prize pot at the final 5 or 4 and be like, you're going to win this much money. You don't get more of a share if you're not more out. You win this much money if you win. You lose this much money if you lose from there on.
That'd be good.
Actually, I haven't heard that one. That was my idea. But there's other ones that people have said as well about like take money away every time you banish a faithful. The problem with this is the finale is already complicated enough. And what we want is the win and lose conditions. We don't want the money conditions. Of course, there's this tension there because it's Werewolf is not a money game. It's just a game of win or lose. And suddenly you've got this prize pot. But as we know, the no reveal finale is skewed towards the traitors, so they're always going to have to have some sort of twist that rebalances it.
I'm just concerned in the future we'll only ever end up with 2 faithfuls when faithfuls winning.
It becomes a relationship thing then, doesn't it? It becomes less tactile. It becomes this person I want to share the money with this person. Like, who are faithful? That was so hard to watch. And I just want to say a massive shout out to Alexander's reactions when he found out they were all faithfuls, and he just laughed. And it was because it's so hard to laugh in them moments, but it's just a game. That's why I weren't bothered in the end. Sometimes you're just like, fuck it, it's a game. It was fun.
You're just happy it's over. You get to go for some sleep at last.
Yeah.
The only reason that our season 1 finished with 3 faithfuls is because they got rid of 2 traitors in a row, and they were like, well, it has to be that we're good now. But actually, I agree. For as long as we have this no reveal finale, until there's some incentivization, it will always be 1 or 2 winners. I don't think you'll ever get that really fun four faithful win thing. Just not going to happen.
Can I just say, I did always say, I think I might have said it on the podcast times before, that I really want to see a finale with faithfuls just banishing each other.
Which is what happened here.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted it, but then when it happened, I felt really sad. Like, I was like, actually, I'm invested into these people.
It was sad, but I think that's down to the fact that the faithfuls that were getting ripped into were the ones we didn't want to see go.
Can I talking about the finale? I'm surprised people aren't using recruitment number metas a bit more. I wonder if they could do more to try to predict the number of recruitments that have happened based on lacks of murder, and every time you get down to one traitor, it has to go back up to 2. So all you've got to do is start counting from episode 10, and I think you should know whether you have 2 or 1 traitors in the finale.
I agree with Ivan here, because I had a couple of friends actually voice note me and say, why don't they ever talk about recruitment and how many people could be left? And I noticed they don't really talk about it unless we're not seeing it, because obviously there's so many hours in the day, blah, 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 edit and all that, because it weren't a thing. You know, there wasn't anybody sort of saying, like, I remember in our series, it was like, okay, cool, somebody's been recruited, so there must be X amount of them left. And we kept sort of tracking our heads, where it didn't seem like that was happening. It was like they had no idea how many there would be.
But the limit, I think, of that thinking is that actually anything else could have happened overnight. Case in point, Leanne, there was a recruitment that night, but they wouldn't know because they murdered into the shield. It could have been an accidental murder into the shield. I don't know. I mean, this makes it harder to track, same as breakfast.
There's always 2 traitors in episode 11.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, right? There can't be less than 2 traitors in episode 11. There probably aren't going to be more.
Yeah.
So I think all you've got to do is start tracking the number of traitors you've killed since episode 10. They got Mina, they got Freddy. I think you can assume there's 1 traitor in the finale. If you got 1 traitor between episode 11 and 10 and 11, you might assume there's 2. I think it just basically depends when you last banished a traitor, and knowing that when there's 1 traitor, they have to ultimatum, because you can't risk the show ending early. And it seems like Studio Lambert do not want to go to a no traitor finale, because they can only happen once. Save that up for another time. I think you could meta it and be like, if we didn't banish a traitor in episode 11, there's 2 in the finale. If we did, there's 1 in the finale. Like, I don't think that's even too complicated to think.
I see your point. I think actually, that might be something that Series 4 contestants who are listening to this podcast will want to think about.
It's difficult to explain, but very simple when you think about it. Like about
the moment when you need to track the number is just episode 11. That's the key moment. And if you're still in that episode 11, if you go backwards, then you actually can figure out how many traitors are left.
It's not even necessarily about, like I just tried to do and failed, it's not even necessarily about tracking from the beginning of the series. I think it's just about trying to figure out what the likely number is, because you can never guarantee it, because there could always be a twist you don't know about, right? We're talking about hidden roles.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happened behind the scenes. We don't know what the traitors got to do, but like, come on, there was 1 traitor, because you'd killed episode 10, you'd killed episode 11. It has to happen.
Now, we will very shortly be moving on to our very own It's Just a Game awards ceremony. But before we do that, my last question is for the man whose downfall broke England's heart, Alexander. I just want to take one quick moment to think about this. From a gameplay perspective, was his downfall inevitable? But the other one is strategy. Actually, if you put yourself in the foot of the other player and you think about how he's moved in the last 2 episodes, upping Frankie in the challenge, putting money in a box, that sort of stuff. If you're thinking rationally, that might well solidify him as a faithful.
I don't know. It was hard, because every time he did anything, I just fell in love with him more. So all I was thinking was how lovely he was. And I think because we watch the show knowing he's a faithful, we just see everything he does as just a big puppy dog faithful man. And like, I found it
golden retriever energy.
Yeah, big BDE, right? But nice BDE.
Yep.
Not like aggressive. I just like it. I think I love him.
Aww.
This isn't an answer to your question, Ryan. I just love Alexander.
I do as well.
In any way that you want to interpret that.
He was the most unlucky faithful there was, isn't it? Really, he had such a crazy game, and he was actually very good at the table, very good at what he's like, certain arguments he had, but Leanne, I think, was his main downfall because he couldn't bridge that gap with her. And I think she had quite a lot of friends in there as well. So I think that was part of the downfall.
He was great at thinking, maybe not so great at articulating.
They were polar opposites, Leanne and Alexander, and they'd have conversations. It happened multiple times where, like, Leanne would say, I think it's you. And then Alexander would be like, I think it's you. And she'd be like, how dare you say that? And like, it's, you know, it was so interesting that like I think Alexander took accusations very similarly to the way Zach did in season 2, which is like, cool, let's work on that. Let's hash this out, and didn't take it as a personal thing. But it also meant that he was not necessarily as, it wasn't able to make people stop accusing him by making them kind of scared of getting shouted at. Like, if I was in the castle, I wouldn't have accused Leanne because she terrifies me. And because she's just an intimidating woman in a good way. Like, she's powerful, and it's like, I wouldn't want to upset you. Like, in one of our episodes when Tom was like, I won't vote for you if you just vote for Hannah. And I was like, I'm not voting for Hannah because she's just a lot more angry than me. I just don't want to make her angry.
But you know what? Actually, I want to take a moment to address the whole Leanne situation. There's a lot of not very kind things going about.
Yeah, shut the fuck
Leanne
up,
on
guys.
the internet. For starters, shut the fuck up. You're wrong. She is the best. Literally every single person I've talked to who had to deal with her has described her as the nicest person at Castle. But beyond that, even if you think she was nasty or whatever in that Castle, which for the record is just not accurate, is my view. It is a strategy. It's the most valuable strategy. At that round table, if you're actually really loud and aggressive, and importantly, if you don't let people speak when they've got suspicions on you, then you're not going to get voted out. And that's what we witnessed when Ivan was sent home by Tom. Tom did not let you say a word in that round table. He tried to interrupt you all the time because he knew that if you could get a word in, you could defend yourself. If he doesn't let you get a word in, you don't defend yourself and you're going home. It's an effective strategy. I think it's fair enough. I love Leanne. She deserves all the love in the world. And all the commentary, which is slightly rooted in misogyny, needs to do one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree.
She did great. She was brilliant. I mean, as a force of nature, the fact that she terrifies me is exactly what you're saying. It's like, that's a really, really good way to get by in these high pressurized environments. Fair play to her.
It's like, let's say they did an all-star series, right? And you all stand there. And so similar to, like, we're going to talk about the US version on another day, but you know, when you have that game player come in and you look and go, fuck, Leanne's here. Like, you know, you're like, she's going to cause ruckus at that table. She's one of them that I wouldn't like. I remember when I pissed off Hannah when I voted for Faye to be my 100%, and she was going in. I was so scared.
I don't know. I think there are strategies to defeat a character like Leanne at the round table. You're just going to be even louder, and you need to tie deeper friendships.
Oh God!
Of course, it's always going to be a challenging one.
But me and Ivan just, oh God! Imagine that round table.
Remind me not to be in a round table with you trying to be louder than Leanne. It's like, Ryan, no.
Like, I'll be there, but don't worry. We've all agreed we're voting Wilf out first. Can't take the risk.
Absolutely. He gone. He gone.
Sorry, Wilfred. I voted for you, Wilf.
All right.
Hang
on. Oh, no, listen. Can you hear that?
Oh, somebody's playing the trumpet.
It's Alan Cumming playing a cornet. It can only mean one thing. It's the annual Traitors Awards. Yes, you remember it from last season when we didn't do it. Now we're going to do it. It is our time to decide who wins these prestigious categories, starting with the Maddie Marple Award, sponsored by Maddie Smedley for Best Detective. Now, the way these awards are going to work is we can nominate someone, we can just agree with each other, but we need to decide on one winner as a three of us.
Okay.
So, who is the best detective on this season?
Can I veto someone straight away?
Yes.
I will not accept the rewriting of history that has been attempted for Jake. Jake was not the best detective in there. I know he vaguely noticed Linda turning her head around and then did nothing about it for 6 months. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. Jake does not get this award.
I'll tell you what eliminates him. In Uncloaked, Claudia's like, she also nodded, so he didn't even notice that she nodded as well.
I actually put Jake because he got rid of Armani as well.
Everyone voted for Armani. Armani was sus as hell.
Yeah, that's true.
So they've cancelled each other out, which means I get my vote, which is Dan. Dan did loads. He got Mina out.
I go with Dan.
Yeah, I go with Dan. I can live with Dan.
Yeah. No one stood out as like a
Nah.
I'll give that another go. Jazza Christie.
No, we'll keep that one.
Nobody stood out. I think Dan is just inches ahead there. So Dan wins it. Interestingly, Will, your prediction was Jake. Ryan, your prediction was Kasim. And my prediction was Lisa. So nobody predicted right. I think Dan gets the award here. Congratulations. Can't think of a name for him, so he's just the winner. Mother of the season. I mean, I think we all know this is Francesca, right?
Linda.
No, actually, I was going to say, there's three contenders. I was going to say Mina just to add some disagreement to it.
Ooh,
Linda was funny, but she wasn't Mother. Linda wasn't Mother. Linda was just hilarious.
You're telling me that you're not going to see Linda in all kind of these crazy, amazing events coming
Actually,
up.
you should know, Ivan, because when we went to the viewing party with Maddie on Friday, the organisers were like doing Q&A with Maddie, and decided at the end, okay, as a Q&A, we'll be asking the crowd who they would want to see there, whether it's Linda or Mina, because we want to book one of them next month, so we can't book the two, they're too expensive.
And they voted Francesca.
No, they didn't. They voted for Linda.
They did. At the end, it was like, we're going to have Francesca as well. And they were like, yeah.
Yeah, so they went for Linda first.
All right, listen, if you two are voting Linda, then it's Linda. That's fine. Are we going Linda?
It's Linda.
Linda, congratulations.
Yeah,
you're the mother of the
I
season.
want to vote for Francesca. No, you said it. So.
No, why are you saying that? Why are you doing that
I
for?
don't know, like, the thing is, like, she's not really mother. She's more like stepmother. I don't know. I can't explain it.
She has stepmother energy.
She's stepmother. She, like, you go to Waitrose with her on the Sundays.
You do, and she buys the good bread. And they're like the chestnut mushrooms. You're like, oh, God, pushing out the boat.
No, she makes an extra stop at Gales.
So she does, yeah. Congratulations then, Linda, who is mother of the season. Wilf, you predicted Lisa. Ryan, you predicted Lisa. And this is maybe why I was fighting for it, I predicted Francesca. But if it's Linda, it's Linda, whatever, I don't care. The Bad Edit Award for the most... It's not even disliked. It's just who was portrayed as unlikable. And we know that these people are lovable. My vote for this is Joe, who was actually the cast's favourite player, but was portrayed as being not very nice.
I said Dan, because Dan was very straightforward, and people thought, why is he being like this? Why is he saying it's a selfish game? Blah blah blah. So I think Dan got a bit of a dodgy edit.
See, I also wrote Joe just because, like, you know, he was made to look maybe a lot more aggressive in there, and obviously, you know, he said what he said. We can't blame everything on the edit, but ultimately, the few minutes you see of him at the round table do not represent who he is as a person.
Yeah, I mean, the way Claudia talked about it, his like sardonic, sing-songy comments were like always perfect timing. But when we watched it, just because of the way they edited it or the music in the background, it didn't always come across as funny. Nevertheless, if Ryan and I both go for Joe, I think congratulations, Joe. You win the Bad Edit Award for Season 3. Wilf, you predicted Armani. Ryan, you predicted Dan. And I predicted Armani. So no one's got any predictions right yet, but I guess that's part of the fun. Next, the Prestige Award for Best Last Line.
I'm going to go first. I'm going to say Freddy's I love you, Francesca, and Leanne. His own little parting gift. I'm going to go for that.
Okay, Ryan?
I was going to go for Freddy, mostly because he did a parting gift, but this time it was not against the rules. He did it in a slightly nicer and more refined way than we might have seen in the past.
I can't wait to see you again.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go for Kasim's last line, where it's like, I noticed a twinkle in your eye, Joe. That was fun. But I feel outvoted on this, so let's give it to Freddy. Freddy, congratulations for the best last line. You win the Prestige, and this is your card. The best moment of the season. Wilf, you go, Wilf.
I'm going to go with a different one because I know a lot of people are going to say finals, that sort of stuff, but I think it was Amani giving feedback to the other traitors. I fucking love that.
And Charmani.
Was great.
It was amazing. Like, that was the most fun I've had watching the whole show ever. Like, her giving proper feedback. It was amazing. Yeah, okay. That's my best moment.
If you're going H. Armani, I'm going Fred Breakfast. So it's all down to you, Ryan.
Oh, I'm torn. I mean, I'm still laughing about the penis mission, so that is tempting.
We've got best mission coming later, so you can put that for that one.
That's so funny.
But what I think I'm going to go with here is that conversation they had in the kitchen, Francesca and Charlotte, when it was just the two of them in the final.
Oh, that was amazing.
And like, they were like, oh, how are your feet? Also, why do you want this so bad?
It was so tense.
It was a nice Atia video where it was like, oh, I'm a little bit hungry. Do you want some scones? Also, why are you a traitor, you asshole?
But that whole episode between those two was amazing. Even the seer dinner, where like they were having a quite nice conversation, and at some point Charlotte just stopped talking because she was like, "There's no point having this conversation because in a minute you're going to know I'm a traitor." So she just sort of stops, and then Francesca reaches for the letter. That was another amazing moment. But I can't agree with you, Ryan. It was a good bit, but it wasn't H. Armani. But listen, I want to campaign for Fred Breakfast here. It was just incredible. I cackled.
Such a good name.
You know what? I go for Fred Breakfast.
Are we going to vote the Fred Breakfast?
Because of the name, it's so funny as well. Fred Breakfast. But H. Armani is also a great name. But
okay, congratulations in this case to the Fred Breakfast, which is the best moment of the series. Best strategic move. Who are we going to go for here?
Charlotte's Shield, isn't it? Play with Freddy.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna give a little like honorific award to Francesca walking into breakfast and whispering traitor in their ear before Charlotte could even get a word in.
If that had led to Francesca surviving, I would agree with you.
The thing is, like, strategic move, I'm not going to lie. Series 3 was great. I loved it. Great TV. But there wasn't that much strategy into it. I don't know if you guys agree. There wasn't that many strategic moves that we've seen. So I think the most obvious one was Charlotte Shields, just because it was, I thought that was the best piece of gameplay I've seen.
I think it was really interesting and really good. I'll agree on that.
Congratulations to Charlotte for winning the best strategic move. Best quote of the season. Can I go first? Or should we do it on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. Sper.
I put another one as well.
But yeah, I put another one as well.
I put it when Alexander comes in like some gremlin and goes, "What a game!"
I put. You don't need to be a sailor to know how to tie your rope.
Oh, there were so many good quotes this season. And then sorry afterwards.
I'm not sure we can settle that one. We just need to give 3 awards.
Oh, remember, what's it called? Linda saying, "Get over it" to Fozia. That was fucking amazing too.
I'm afraid that we have to have a winner. We can't start having 3 winners at this point. The Oscars has never done that, and we are as prestigious as that. So I will say What a Game. I'm going to eliminate What a Game here because I think Sper is more memorable than What a Game, though it is amazing the way he's got his shoulders up like, what a game! So it's down to Sper versus you don't have to be a sailor to know how to tie knots. Sorry. How do we decide? Tell you what, Wilf, since I've just eliminated your quote, you can decide out of those 2 which wins.
It has to be Sper because it's literally been in my head for days, and I can't. So it's obviously the most memorable.
It's more catchy than row, row, row your boat. Honestly, it's ridiculous. Okay, so congratulations to Alexander for quote of the season with Sper. Mission of the season.
I mean, it's got to be the shafts.
Yeah, it's the big dicks.
I'm happy for dicks to win in every case, in every situation. But I just want to say,
cock of the year.
My vote actually, cock of the year is my vote goes for the boats because it created so many great strategic moments. Yeah. It was super interesting. Everything that happened kind of led into more. It affected the round table really brilliantly. I think the missions were really good this season, but yeah, the dicks were really funny.
Cock of the year award.
Congratulations to Dix. You win mission of the season. Okay, now we're going to get on to the faithful of the season. Again, I don't know, it doesn't matter why you pick them, just who was your favourite faithful of season 3?
Freddy.
Alexander.
And I'm going to break this tie and say, Alexander, call me. Call me daddy.
I want to go on a walk to Liverpool this year with Ivan and Alexander. Yeah. That would be fucking amazing.
Cheers for the invite, mate.
No, Alexander's replacing Ryan. Sorry. Welcome to Hi, I'm Alexander. I'm Will.
Look, we need to start thinking about contingency plans. I could get tracked down by football players and beat up at any point, and then I won't be able to do the podcast anymore. So we need a contingency. Alexander, you can be my spare.
Chatting a lot of shit today, Ryan. So you know what's going to happen next, right?
Actions have consequences.
I think Alexander. Freddy was so lovely and really, really kind of like protagonistic. You could get behind him. You could support him. You could always see what he was doing. He had good morals. But Alexander skips the first 3 episodes, comes in a cage, absolutely dominates in terms of just like good thoughts, good strategy, contributing to good stuff, being great in missions, positive, funny, empathetic. He was just an amazing faithful.
He become the heartthrob when everyone thought it was Freddy. Freddy was the heartthrob. Then all of a sudden, Alexander just became the heartthrob. Like it was really strange how that sort of changed in the last 2-3 episodes.
The reaction every time he hit the screen down in the 2 Brewers in Clapham was crazy. He was like the biggest star of this season. It was mad. Yeah.
Oh, good on him.
Congrats to Alexander. You've won multiple awards here, but you have also won Faithful of the Season, which leaves us with Traitor of the Season.
I'm going to go first because I'm resident traitor. I'm going to say Mina. The reason I'm going to say Mina is because I think she lasted longer than every traitor in this season. And also, I don't actually think Charlotte would have done as good as Mina if she was a traitor from the beginning. That's what I believe.
I'm going to disagree with you. I love Mina and I love her character, but I think there's a bit of rewriting of history happening here. She managed to last that long because she never came under fire, and when she did come under fire and had to defend herself, she was gone. Yeah. So I'm not sure Mina deserves that title. I have to go with Charlotte. I've got to respect the craft of how mad she moved in that last episode.
I have to break the tie here.
Or throw in another name.
I'm not going to throw in another name because I think in the end Linda was hilarious, but she wasn't the best traitor. And Armani, I mean, she was very good at annual reviews, but I don't think she was very good at being a traitor. I am going to hurt you where it hurts the most, Ryan, and I'm going to say Mina. I don't think she made the best strategic moves, but she was certainly the longest lasting traitor. She was so easy to get behind and support. She made good decisions, good choices up in the tower. She murdered the right people at the right time, and she also got rid of Linda with Linda's permission, which I think was kind of amazing. So congrats to Mina. I mean, her big mistake was trusting Charlotte, but I honestly think she did great in the way that she didn't make enemies. Fantastic traitor.
I can get behind that.
So congrats to Mina, traitor of season 3, which just leaves us with the Blue Ribboned Award, the Mystic Meg from season 2 award for the host who drafted the winning player. And may I just congratulate Ivan Brett from the Traitors.
Did you get it?
Because I drafted Leanne as my 5th pick, and Jake was undrafted, and we do not.
Can I congratulate undrafted, please? Ivan does not get all the glory.
Did I have anybody in the final?
Okay, so we'll go over the whole thing. So going into the final week, I had Mina, Joe, and Leanne. Mina was banished episode 10. Joe was murdered episode 10. So at the end of episode 10, I was looking seriously bleak. Ryan, you went into this week with Charlotte, who was banished in episode 12. Wilf, you went into this week with Freddy and Francesca. Freddy was banished in episode 11, and Francesca was banished episode 12. And undrafted had Jake and Alexander. Jake won the game, but undrafted was okay. We could say that undrafted won, except that undrafted wasn't a competitor in this game until midway through the season when Traitolytics gave it Claudia Winkleman's face. So I think we can all agree that I do win this and I get some sort of massive trophy.
No, well, the trophy barely makes up for you calling Jake Kyle for half of the series.
Congratulations to Kyle, who wins contestant of reality.
Well, there we have it. Our debrief of the Traitors UK Series 3. And now we've got to wait 11 months to get more of the Traitors UK, I guess. Sad times. Of course, we'll be back to debrief that series, and we'll be back to debrief Celebrity Traitors when it comes around. And even sooner than that, we'll be back to debrief Series 3 on the Traitors US very, very shortly. Now, in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Again, thank you so much for all the lovely comments. We had a really cool comment from Katie on YouTube. She met us at the viewing party, Ivan and I, and she said, thank you for chatting to me. And I just want to say thank you for chatting to us, because I was surprised anyone remembered who we were in the first place. But it was very nice. As always, if you like the podcast, tell a friend about it, tweet about it, leave a comment, send us a like, a 5-star review, subscribe. We do actually see all of your comments. We appreciate them. My name is Ryan. You can follow me at Leanne's Fan Club.
My name's Will. You can follow me at sper.
My name's Ivan. You can follow me at Hanging from a Helipopper watching season 4 live.
And from all of us here, it's see you very soon and goodbye.
Bye, driver.
Bye, helicopter driver.
Hello, Fergus.
Oh, Fergus. Hey, next episode is Fergus time. Fergus time.